So on behalf of myself and Krista, I'm going to talk about the EuroFAANG Research Infrastructure Project, which is an infrastructure for farmed animal genotype to phenotype research in Europe and beyond. So just to give you a brief overview of what I'm going to cover, I'm just going to briefly introduce farm animal genotype to phenotype research, introduce the functional annotation of animal genomics initiative, FAANG, describe what EuroFAANG is, which is obviously the topic of our session today, and then introduce the concept of how does the EuroFAANG Research Infrastructure Project want to integrate sustainably into the EU landscape of farmed animal research. So just to introduce the concept of genotype to phenotype research in farmed animals and why it's important. Well, a breeding and management programme is a balanced and responsible combination of several traits. In reality, this is quite difficult to achieve, and understanding more about the genetic code of farmed animals can benefit animal breeding and husbandry. It can inform, for example, genomic selection strategies, provide targets for genome editing, inform genome-enabled management, and then tell us things about cell, tissue, and whole animal scale knowledge to inform fundamental biology. So the world population is increasing, and that's leading to increased pressure on food production. And this means we need to improve farmed animal breeding, and chief among the improvements required to do that is the ability to more accurately use an animal's genetic code or its genotype to predict its characteristics or phenotype. So populations of animals are made up of thousands of genetic differences and hundreds of different characteristics. So we want to associate the genetic code or its genetic code with its characteristics, so G to P research. And that's really what the FAANG consortium aims to do eventually. And also via EuroFAANG, and generate genomic information that can be fed in to generate better accuracy for genomic prediction, breed healthier and improved animals, and the best animals for things like resistance to disease, reduced environmental impact, and adaptation to changing environments. So just to introduce the functional annotation of farmed animal genomes initiative, then this started with a white paper in 2015 and a meeting slightly before that in the US. So FAANG's a global initiative, not from one single institution. It's a community of labs. You can join FAANG by visiting the website, and there are around more than 500 contributors globally now within the initiative. So as I mentioned, the FAANG initiative has a website that you can go and join, and we also have a statement around data sharing and several task forces tasked with various concepts. So there are task forces, for example, on genomic prediction, fair access to data, and comparative genomics. The goals of the Functional Annotation of Animal Genomes Consortium are to standardise core assays and experimental protocols, coordinate and facilitate data sharing, particularly via the FAANG data portal, and establish sustainable infrastructures for data analysis. This should lead to improved farmed animal genotype to phenotype prediction, and there are major initiatives for FAANG in the US, Australia, Canada, and then also through Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe research funding. So just a bit of history of those. As I mentioned, the FAANG initiative started in 2014, and we're actually having the 10-year anniversary next year for FAANG in 2024. So crucially for this session, there were 3 Horizon 2020 EuroFAANG projects funded in 2018 that started in 2019, the Gene Switch, Bovreg and AquaFAANG projects, and these were joined a bit later by Geronimo, Holoruminant and Rumigen under the EuroFAANG umbrella. So these are the EuroFAANG cluster of Horizon 2020 projects. As I mentioned, these include the projects you're going to hear about today, and these these currently also fund the FAANG Data Coordination Centre and the data portal, which I mentioned on a previous slide. And on the data portal, you can download, for example, FAANG datasets, files and analyses. You can visualize genome annotation tracks using a beta version that's launched from IGV. or the Integrative Genomics Viewer, you can look at the different data sets for different projects, and also there's information about ontologies and using those ontologies for metadata. So the BOVRG data portal benefits the entire farmed animal research community and has been financially supported by the Horizon 2020 projects and now the EuroFAANG Research Infrastructure Project. So we're now in 2023 and based on the foundation provided by the EuroFAANG Horizon 2020 cluster projects, we were able to secure funding from the European Union through infrastructure concept development for the EuroFAANG Research Infrastructure Project. So this was a new project. It will run from 2023 to 2025. It's currently coordinated by Klaus Wimmers at FBN. Initially it was coordinated by Krista, but she's moved to her new position, and Klaus has taken on the coordination. It has 7 different partners, and its aim is to establish an infrastructure to facilitate research and innovation for G2P research to achieve sustainable, efficient and socially acceptable farmed animal production in Europe. I should emphasise this is a concept development project, so the funding was to develop a concept for what the infrastructure would look like. So it has 4 main objectives: creation of a data structure and data access, and development of and this will build on, this will build on the FAANG data portal, and then development of a European framework for curation and biobanking of in vitro cellular models, sharing and expanding capabilities in new breeding, phenotyping and genomic technologies, and connecting in existing projects and infrastructures to consolidate G2P research across Europe and globally. And that's linking with, for example, the infrastructures, the infra infrastructures for animal phenotyping, data infrastructures such as Elixir, and those in the US, including AgBiodata. So crucially, the EuroFAANG Research Infrastructure Project doesn't provide infrastructure access or services at this stage. It's a concept development project. It aims to bring together research infrastructures and resources to provide an attractive package that's eligible as an ESFRI project for consideration on the roadmap and with a sustainable perspective. And I'll come on to describing the roadmap in a minute. So we'll start with a large number of activities. So there's currently a biobanking survey. We've run workshops on genome editing. There are think tanks both on in vitro cellular models and genome editing, and other planned activities such as a summer school on in vitro systems at INRA-A in September. So the infrastructure needs comprehensive collaboration across the whole of the farmed animal research community and animal breeding sector to move forwards. And it will provide multiple opportunities to associate with activities and the future of the EuroFAANG initiative. So just to briefly introduce ESFRI. So ESFRI is the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures. It includes 27 EU states and other associated countries. Its aim is to coordinate various research infrastructures across Europe and establish an operating research infrastructure landscape. To do that, they have an infrastructure roadmap that's updated at several yearly, in sort of 3 to 5 yearly intervals. So the ESFRI roadmaps aim to coordinate the various research infrastructure initiatives, and they're currently organised into 5 scientific domains, and the one that's most relevant to EuroFAANG is health and food. So in the last roadmap in 2021, there was a gap identified, which was obviously important in leveraging the funding for EuroFAANG concept development, and they identified a gap in the need to bring together national facilities at a pan-European level in the field of animal genetic resources, phenotyping, breeding and animal health. So EuroFAANG is currently at the concept development stage, which is important to emphasise, I think. So we got funding from Horizon Europe for concept development. So we're kind of in the life cycle of an infrastructure which takes about 15 to 20 years. We're currently between the concept and development and design stage. And what we want to reach is the preparatory phase, and then onwards from there, to ensure that the EuroFAANG research infrastructure concept is sustainable going forwards. Oops. So the EuroFAANG research infrastructure is arranged into 8 different work packages. There are 3 main interconnected work packages on in vitro models and biobanking, Yes, in vitro models and biobanking, genome editing, and then also breeding, phenotype and genomic technologies. And then crucially, there's the work package 3 that is relevant to the FAANG data portal, and then work package 7 that's exploring links with other research infrastructures. So, to summarise then, the EuroFAANG research infrastructure contributes to addressing the need that was identified in the S3 roadmap to fill the gap for farmed animal genetic resources, phenotyping and breeding for animal health and other components. And then the EuroFAANG research infrastructure also builds on the 6 Horizon 2020 projects and connects with other existing infrastructures in Europe. This should lead to a better alignment of the research infrastructure landscape for farmed animals and strengthen the science frontier for GTP research in Europe and globally. So crucially, we also link with the global FAANG initiative, including US colleagues and also colleagues further across the globe. So these are currently the 7 EuroFAANG partners, but as I mentioned, through the concept development stage, there are many activities that should broaden this network. And these are the 6 Horizon 2020 projects that you'll hear more about in this session. And also that it's the 10-year celebration for FAANG at the moment, and there'll be some other activities involved with that as well. So thank you for your attention.